Zombies. Yeah, that should do it. Alright, I'll see you guys later. Alright, I'm sorry. Dying Light 2 is the much anticipated sequel to the original and very successful survival horror game. Announced originally in 2018, this sequel was aiming to take the core concepts of the first game and just amplify it tenfold. Of course, we're still going to be able to just beat the shit out of zombies like before, and have even more methods to do so, but now the story is actually impacted by the decisions we make. It's an ambitious choice for development, and if done correctly, could easily be a Game of the Year candidate, but if not, we might as well just change the name to Dying Game rather than Dying Light. But with a supposed 500 hours of content, you might die IRL before even finishing the game. Personally, as a massive fan of the first game, I was really excited to boot this up and play. But then it got delayed. After twiddling my thumbs for 2 months, I finally was able to boot the game, and honestly, I was pretty impressed. However, I'm not sure if I can say I enjoy the game more than the first one, as it has way more inconsistencies and bugs, but it also took more risks, so it's kind of expected. To make this as simple as possible, I'll be breaking this video up into 2 parts, story and gameplay, as those are the main 2 factors for Dying Light, or any game for that matter. The story takes place 15 years after the outbreak in Haran in the first Dying Light. We play as Aiden Caldwell, who I honestly thought for the first couple of hours was the same voice actor as Crane, but they are in fact different people.
Okay, I met this doctor, scientist type. They've got him set up in a sort of research trailer and he's working on a cure for the virus. His name is Zera.
Villador. So I'm that close, huh? Hey, I got a favor to ask you. You deliver this to Gary? It's on your way. People don't like pilgrims there, but they pay well.
Besides surviving the zombie outbreak, his main goal is to find his sister Mia and uncover the secrets of the experiments performed on them as children. Ah, child experiments. Haven't seen that one presented in media. Aiden is known as a pilgrim, an outcast survivor who travels across the world, acting as couriers and being the only means of communication between human settlements. He's made it all the way to Europe. Sorry to hear that.
Good morning, Glenn!
However, it seems like this is the area where he's going to get most of his answers. An informant gives him a GRE key and tasks him with meeting a woman, Lawan, who will supposedly help uncover all the truths. It also happens that Waltz, the man who performed the experiments on him, is here and is also looking for said GRE key and quickly shows that he does not fuck around. And if that isn't a big enough issue, Aiden also encountered a volatile, which of course bites him and leaves him infected. Turning into a zombie would put a slight kink in our plans, so we need something to help us to stop from turning. That thing is a biomarker. A survivor named Hakon offers to help us obtain one, but not before we're almost hanged. I thought this was a pretty interesting part of the story. In the first Dying Light, it felt like Crane was an anomaly because if you were bitten, you're pretty much fucked. Whereas here in the second game, almost everyone is infected, but the biomarkers help neutralize the virus enough to where you won't turn. Since there are more manageable ways to combat the virus, we're able to interact with a lot more people in Dying Light 2. There's 3 factions that you'll encounter: survivors, peacekeepers, and renegades. Survivors are, well, survivors, just normal citizens who utilize whatever they can do to survive. Peacekeepers are a military faction within Villador who are able to keep law and order in the areas they control, but are often feared by the survivors. Renegades are just reject Mad Max warboys.
You were supposed to be dead! Where did you hide our key, boy?
Throughout our playthrough, we'll make decisions to side with either the survivors or peacekeepers. The renegades just want to kill you, so not much talking there, but those decisions will affect the story and how the city evolves. First, there's an alignment system within the game. Over the course of the story, we'll come across important buildings that we'll need to gain control of. After doing so, we can choose to assign the building to either the PKs or survivors. This will affect your abilities in-game and maybe who hangs out around that area, but nothing else. Siding with the PK will get you access to more combat-related items such as car bombs and turrets, while survivors are more parkour-related with things like zip lines and airbags. Then we have our story-related choices. You'll often be put in situations where you'll have to make a choice about a person or what to do next. There's a few different variations they use. We have dialogue with only one choice to progress the story. There will sometimes be other options to learn more, but only one that progresses. Then there are times where we have multiple choices. These can affect the dialogue of the quest or your relationship with that person, but will not affect the events of the main story. The most important choices, though, will have an effect on the story. We're given a prompt with a time limit and these little arrow icons to show that that's the direction we'll be going in the story. These choices will impact how we progress and ultimately what ending we'll have. So how about that story? Any good? I was expecting something solid based on the first game, but was also nervous that with all these choices we'd end up with a few mediocre stories rather than one that was fully fleshed out. What we got? It's kind of a combination. I honestly think the story with Aiden and Walt isn't all that interesting, but more so the way we direct the story with the peacekeepers and survivors. But again, if I'm being honest, I didn't find the decisions that hard to make. I wanted to truly debate what was the right choice, but I never really did.
Oh my god, he cut his head off while he's on the ground.
Since I'm usually a fan of the quote-unquote good guys, I assumed most of my choices would be siding with the survivors, but to this day, I haven't made a single one. The survivors are made out to seem like the good choice, not that the PKs are necessarily bad, they are just much more controlling. No joke, almost every survivor I encountered with I found fucking insufferable. They rarely do good, they're constantly arguing at each other's throats and betraying each other on a regular basis. There was no point that I was actually rooting for them. You got shady business practices, Barney, more shady business practices, Barney, a plethora of stupid decisions, and fucking Barney. God, I hate him.
Aiden.
Screw it.
And we started on the wrong foot. A sip of courage.
Feel that?
Hakon was the only survivor I somewhat liked, and well, we know how that goes. While the PKs have created a more controlling system of law and order, they are also honest and helpful. They keep promises and rarely betray each other. The characters were actually likable. Ader, Aglet, Jack Matt, all great. Granted, there were a few kinda sucked like Roe, but overall they felt like true good guys. The story is where we start to see some of the inconsistencies and even bugs for the game. The voice acting was something that grabbed my attention. Performances seemed to range from absolutely incredible to this person was handed a script 5 minutes ago.
Pilgrim, would you get that jerk out of there? Please.
A majority of the bad voice acting was from minor side characters, but even some of the main characters' performances felt uninspired. There's also areas where the story doesn't make much sense in terms of writing and timing, and even instances where it feels like the code is wrong. This mission in particular is the biggest culprit, and oh boy, it is a doozy. People from the Bazaar are negotiating with this Joe fella for access to water. Sophie, who's kind of in charge of the security for the survivors, doesn't trust the transaction and asks us to go and check it out. Shit goes awry and the bandits kill our negotiators. Sophie then asks us to meet up on a rooftop, and this is where the stuff goes downhill. First off, this cutscene didn't even load, so myself and the people I played with had to restart the game. Once back in, we meet up with Sophie, go over what to do next, and then we are tasked with meeting Ader. Keep in mind, everyone is on the rooftop when we go and do this. We come back, Sophie is nowhere to be found, we ask around, get our radio fist, and then she just appears. The first audio when we come back and see her is, "I'm here," as if she's the one been waiting for us when we know damn well she just pulled a Houdini. Our cutscene dialogue ends with a man Humphrey in the back saying, "Sophie, we have to talk." She proceeds over to him, and Barney becomes a drunk idiot. We then end with the dialogue, "Where's Sophie?" This is where I'd like to play a little game. Where do you think Sophie is? Is it A, over talking to Humphrey where we just saw her walk to? B, at the edge of the roof by herself? Or C, on a completely different roof? Bingo. The answer is C. Why is the answer C? This was the same cutscene, mind you. She's just here and then not here. If this isn't an error, I don't know what is.
Sophie, we have to talk.
Time to act. The quicker we do this, the less prepared Jack and Joe will be.
Aiden.
Screw it.
And we started on the wrong foot. A sip of courage.
Should you be drinking this much before the mission, Barney?
Me? I got the toughest liver in Philidor. Worry more about yourself, Pilgrim.
Where's Sophie?
There, on the rooftop. I'm watching you,
Yeah?
Pilgrim.
It just make no fucking sense.
There's other examples like this that aren't as extreme, but overall I think the story is still pretty decent. The other and more arguably important thing is gameplay. Dying Light gained such a good reputation from its fun and interactive parkour movement system and its unique ways to kill zombies. Dying Light 2 does a great job of keeping the core mechanics and including some fun and fresh additions. Parkour is more polished, albeit a bit more floaty than the first game. We got the good old running, jumping, climbing, swinging, and sliding, and plenty more of surfaces to do them on. Even the grapple hook makes a return, which is pretty pog. There's some new things added like paragliders and airbags to make navigating the city much easier. I wasn't a huge fan of things like these at first, but in certain areas of the game they definitely make sense. Combat, in my opinion, has the biggest improvement from the first game. Fighting zombies is just as fun as before, but now there's a lot more mechanics when fighting real people. We can use blocks, parries, dodges, and somehow an even more busted dropkick than the first game. These combat abilities give us more strategy in fights instead of just randomly swinging the entire time, but then you realize the dropkick is more effective than all of them. The coolest thing added though is that zombie mode. Sometimes we can go Super Saiyan and use our infected body as an absolute murder machine. I always wondered if Crane was going to do something like this in the first game, so I'm glad to see it be used here. I'm going to transition to menu items now because it covers up the rest of the gameplay. First off, the map. It's pretty fucking huge and has a lot of stuff we can do. Side quests, activating windmills, parkour challenges, GRE anomalies, safe houses, dark zones, or even random encounters where you could potentially save survivors. Don't do that last one though, it just doesn't end well. A playthrough doing pretty much everything in the game is expected to take 80 hours, so yeah, no lack of things on this map. Then there's our journal, which keeps track of all the quests we've accepted, both side and main. Points of interest are put on our top compass and pretty easy to follow. There's an inventory system again, but this one is much more in-depth. We have our weapons, items, and materials like before, and a fuck ton more for that matter, but now we have actual gear that will give us stat bonuses in a variety of areas. One of the best things about this new system was that we had way more inventory space than before. 24 weapons, 16 accessories, and 16 consumables. It felt like there was only 16 slots total in the first game, which was slightly annoying for managing our equipment. However, it's kind of give and take because although we have a lot of space, weapons seem to have the durability of a plastic spoon. Next is the crafting menu. Just like before, we have the ability to scavenge materials and craft things like medkits or devices that will be essential on our journey. But now the system is set up in a more user-friendly manner and it's way less of a hassle to obtain new blueprints. Pretty much everything can be obtained at vendors, whereas in the first game, there were some you could get there, but a large majority were scattered around the map. These blueprints can be upgraded to be more effective, and the whole system's pretty easy to understand. Brief side note, when you're first playing and head to a vendor, you're probably gonna think, man, this shit is expensive and I have no money. When that happens, make sure to check the bottom corner for the Sell Valuables button. The first time I noticed this, I had like 10k and never realized. The last menu that is related to gameplay is the Skills menu. In Dying Light 2, we have 4 categories to upgrade: combat, parkour, health, and stamina. Parkour and combat points are gained from just playing the game and using the moves, while health and stamina require inhibitors. I love the skill system. We have a plethora of things on both sides and we don't have to go in order. If there's a category of things we like, we can focus on those first. And as I stated previously, get the fucking dropkick. Gathering enough inhibitors on the map will give us the choice to upgrade either health or stamina. You probably want like a 3 or 4 to 1 ratio of stamina to health upgrades because we get winded from pretty much everything early game. Last gameplay mechanic I'll mention is the day-night cycle. As we know from the first game, day and night are very, very different obstacles. Day is overall safer, but if you're looking to get the best loot from things like dark zones or GRE anomalies, you'll have to venture out at night. Night just happens to be fucking terrifying for a number of reasons. The first is immunity. Unlike the first game, when we travel at night, we start to lose our immunity. Once that number hits 0, well, we die. You have to manage this timer with items or by finding shelter via UV light. Zombies are also more aggressive and there's unique types that you'll only see at night. Get noticed and a chase will start. For this sequel, we have the GTA system. A longer chase will lead to its level increasing and stronger zombies pursuing you. At level 4, prepare to get your ass ate by a volatile.
Keep on talking like that, I'm gonna eat your ass, huh?
Seeking shelter at a UV light is the best way to stop a chase. You know, I liked the chase mechanic, but it felt less intense than the first game. We could have like 3 volatiles on us off rip, and now it's pretty rare to even get one. The zombies do seem smarter, so I suppose that's the trade-off. I'm not sure if I'm in the minority here, but this game felt so much easier than the first game. I've never had a fear of dying in combat from humans or zombies. I know I'm only on normal difficulty, but it truly feels like easy. The real killer you'll face in the game is gravity. 99% of my deaths were falling from a great height. The other 1% was kicking this explosive tank. Gameplay is also where we have a majority of our bugs. Zombies and humans clipping through walls, jank animations, superhuman jumps, broken load screens, and even an infinite death loop. A majority of the bugs I experienced were when I was playing co-op. Watching my teammates constantly clipping with the grapple hook or paraglider was both hilarious and cursed. There was even a moment where both of them connected to my session and were spawned inside of the hospital where we get the biomarker without any way to escape. Keep in mind, there still were bugs in the first game, but they feel a lot more commonplace in the sequel. Bugs aside, they don't really matter as long as the game itself is fun. And Dying Light 2 is really fun. None of the bugs are incredibly game-breaking, besides the infinite death one, and I was having tons of fun at every point in the game. Playing solo was great, and having some friends to hop in on the action amplifies that experience further. Whether you want to take to the rooftops with parkour or make use of the variety of combat abilities, Dying Light 2 has something everyone can enjoy. It keeps the same charm of the first game and amplifies it through the world and its characters. I 100% recommend playing. That's all I have for you. Wait, Tony, you didn't even talk about the endings. You did finish it, right? The endings? Oh yeah, they, Thank you all for watching. A huge shout out to everyone who's made it this far. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like. We have tons of new content coming in the future, so staying subscribed is the best way to keep up with the new videos. A huge shout out to all the people on Patreon who have supported too. It truly means a lot. That's all I have for you this time. Hope to see you here again.